Okay, Miss Kimberly Klein, we are back, and today we are going to talk about the most important thing you need to know before you buy a car. It might not be the sexiest, it might not be the most fun, but eventually you're going to sign a contract, and we're going to break down
Huh.
what's on that contract. I think something called a TILA. You're going to help explain what a TILA is. You're going to help us protect ourselves. I'm putting on my best student outfit. Professor Klein, classes in session. Teach us how to understand these contracts, please.
Oh my gosh, Zach. I know that this is dry stuff here. I get it, but it's so important. Whenever you go into the finance office and you sit down to sign all those documents, whether it's paper or it's on a tablet, it's a lot of stuff. And you probably don't have the time or the wherewithal to sit there and read through everything. So here's the most important thing if you're financing a vehicle. Let's go over the bank contract. Yay! All right, so the bank contract will be the really, really long one, like that.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
I know it's the big one. So at the top of that bank contract, you're going to see the basic information. You'll have the dealership's name. You're going to have your name and address on it, and below that, you're going to see the vehicle that you're purchasing and its information as well. But below that, you're going to see 5 wonderful shining boxes with lots of wonderful numbers in them. It's kind of important. So let's go over box number 1, and that is called annual percentage rate. What is that, Zach? What do you think
So,
that could possibly be?
so this is the Truth in Lending Act boxes. These are required. I'm going to say obviously. Obviously, the APR is the
Yeah.
interest rate that I'm paying on the loan. This is going to be, so as you were quoted by the finance manager or anything that you talked about with the salesman, whatever it may be, this number needs to match up with what you were expecting. And it shouldn't be anything foreign to you by the time you're signing the contract.
That is so well said. It should not be anything foreign to you by the time you're about to put your pen to the paper. So you will see your APR, your interest rate. That's going to be in the first truth in lending disclosure. Now, the second one is the finance charge. So you're going to see a big number there. That is the amount that you'll be paying in interest, maybe some fees in there too, but that's what you'll be paying over the life of the loan, whatever term you have. And right beside that, you will see the amount financed, which is also a big number, typically will match the exact number that you're financing at the bottom of the contract. That's really important. You want to know
If it doesn't,
how
be
much you're
concerned. Ask some
financing.
questions.
Be very concerned. So there's your 3 basic ones out of the 5. Now, the one beside that is called total of payments, and that's an even bigger number. That's the number, that's how much you're going to be paying over the life of the loan with all of your payments. If you make every single payment on time without any additional amount put onto principal, that's how much, along with the interest, that you'll be paying for that vehicle. And then, yep.
And let's harp on this for just a second because so many people
Okay.
end up falling prey to the idea of, well, I just want to get into a monthly payment. Well, you should know when you go to sign your bank contract, you can just look right there. How much interest am I paying on this loan over the course of its lifetime? It will be right there for you. So make sure you're not just fixated on, oh, my monthly payment's below $800. I was going to say $500, but that doesn't make sense in this market.
Yeah.
Fixated on being below $800. Really hone in on, okay, how much interest am I paying over the lifetime of this loan? And also the amount that's being financed. So many times, Miss Kimberly Klein, I hear this. I see it in my Instagram direct messages all the time. The amount I financed didn't match up to what I thought I negotiated the car price to be. Is there gap insurance being thrown in there? Is there an extended warranty? Are there other ancillary products that you didn't realize that you were buying in the amount financed? That is a great moment to pause and say, okay, does the amount financed line up with the out-the-door price that I negotiated on the sales side with the salesperson, the sales manager? If it doesn't, then some alarm bells should be going off. You should be saying to yourself, okay, what else am I financing here? Where did this money come from? Those numbers should, in theory, add up.
And that was so well said, Zach. You get an A plus plus plus. That was so well said. And on the heels of that, Zach, I will tell you, I know a lot of people might think this is funny, but on a daily basis, I would have people come into my office with their calculator and want to argue with me that that doesn't make sense because I took the amount financed and I divided by 72 months and it doesn't come out to that. People, you're not thinking. If you do that, that's 0% interest. Okay, so you do need to take your interest, in account there. That's pretty important. I know you'd be surprised how many people want to argue about that.
Thinking about getting auto insurance? Compare quotes from all the major carriers in one place. Join YAA.com/insurance. It's quick, easy, and no spam.
Now, let's see exactly what are we paying for this vehicle?
Yep.
In total. The very last box shows, well, the one I'm looking at here, you'll see 2 lines. And the very last box says total sales price, the total cost of my purchase on credit, including the down payment. And then the one I'm looking at, there was a $2,500 down payment. That came out of my pocket.
Yep.
As well as the total amount of payments. That all totals $32,336.50 on the one that I'm looking at here. So that shows you the total cost, the total cost that you pay for that vehicle. Now, below this truth in lending is the next very important thing, and that's going to show you what your payments are.
Yep.
What your term is. So you will see number of payments in this one I'm looking at is 75. That'll be whatever you choose, whatever term, 60 months, 60 payments.
Yep.
It's going to show you your amount of payment, your monthly payment. In this case, it's $397.82, and when your payments are due, which is really important. A lot of people ask, can I change that? Ask the finance manager. You can certainly change that, and typically you can make it to when you want to change it. Now, by default, most are 45 days out, but if you want to make it 30 days out, ask the finance manager to change that for you. Right below that, you're going to see that, hey, your car is the security for this note.
Yep.
And it's also going to spell out to you the late charge. You will have a grace period typically. It's going to tell you that. And it's going to tell you if you go beyond that, what they're going to charge you. It's also going to tell you if there's a prepayment penalty or not. So look for that. So in a nutshell, this is the top of your retail installment sales contract. And it's what you want to pay attention to. It's super, super important.
We have a blog post back on the Join YAA website. My dad wrote it back in June of 2020, breaking down a retail installment contract. And you'll see it. And this one's from the state of Iowa. But you go there, it shows everything, Miss Kimberly Klein, you just walked us through. It is really important to also recognize that somewhere on that retail installment contract should also be an itemization of all of the breakdown of all of the pieces that are being financed as well. So if you're confused about how you got to that total number up there, further below on that contract will be the itemization of everything that got you to that finance amount. That should all make sense as well. That's where that gap coverage might show up. That's where maybe the additional dealer markups might show up, things like that. So you need to make sure that things in that itemization also make sense. And these contracts, I mean, Kimberly used to work with them every single day. They're not small. I mean, like, this is a very intimidating process. So
no,
if you're, especially if you're, I mean, pull it back up. I mean, the thing's huge. The thing's truly huge.
It is. Like it's a train. It's a train. See, it's like if you get cold in the winter, you can cover up with your contract. Now here's the really important thing that I always tell people. This is the golden rule. You take that long contract and you match the bottom line of it up with your purchase order or buyer's order, which is a shorter one. But those two numbers at the very, very bottom better match up. Now, here's where we go wrong. People look at that long bank contract and you can see their eyes begin to cross. Whereas a purchase order, it's chronological. Purchase price, every single fee is itemized out for you and broken down, and you can see it's just so much easier. And then they get to the bank contract and they're like, wait a second, this doesn't match this. That's why I say, look at the bottom line. Your bank contract is the same, but they add and subtract differently than your purchase order. And that's key. So just make sure those numbers match at the very bottom and you're good to go.
If you've got questions, if you're looking over a bank contract, I don't know. This retail installment contract looks a little funky. I don't see the 5 boxes that Kimberly and Zack taught. Join YAA.com/community. Go join the community forum. Post there. We'll be happy to help you. Miss Kimberly Klein, thank you for having class today. Usually I skip, but I'm glad I
Thank you.
didn't.
Yes, I would have to tell your father. So glad you're here, Zach.
Thanks, Kimberly.